To the Tuesday, June 9th, 2020 City Council Finance Committee meeting. Committee members present, myself, Councilor Di Natale, President Kuchmarek, Vice President Walsh, Councilors Boschman and Zarella. We had a public forum registrations in advance for public forum portion of the agenda, and I do not have any confirmed people who wish to speak during the public forum. We will move on to the agenda items. 131-20, in order that there be and hereby is appropriated the sum of $400,000, same to be charged against available funds and credited to DPW admin expenses, stormwater contract services. I have a letter here from Commissioner Bossonetto to the mayor dated May 21st. The Department of Public Works respectfully requests approval from the mayor and city council for $400,000 from available funds for stormwater system improvements. These funds will be used as a match to leverage an additional $1.2 million in anticipated grant funds from the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Grant Program administered by the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs. DPW Engineering Division was awarded an MVP planning grant in the amount of $102,000 in July of last year to complete the MVP planning process, which consists of developing a climate resiliency and vulnerability action plan. Now that this plan has been substantially completed, the city has become an MVP certified community and is eligible to receive MVP action grant funding to tackle projects identified in the action plan and improve the city's climate resiliency. The MVP action grants, however, require a 25% local cash or in-kind match. DPW Engineering will be applying for the following two action grants: stormwater system improvements for the South Street, Water Street neighborhood, $300,000 of city funds, plus $900,000 in action grant funds. This project will be built in summer of 2020 in conjunction with an $8 million combined sewer separation project undertaken by wastewater. The separation of the sewer from the stormwater system means new sewer systems are built, leaving the remnants of the stormwater system that cannot adequately handle storm events. By combining the two projects, we achieve economies of scale and also relieve the sewer ratepayers from having to fund stormwater improvements. Number two, John Fitch Highway Green Infrastructure and Stormwater Improvements Design, $100,000 of city funds and $300,000 of action grant funds. This project will start the design process for implementation of green infrastructure on John Fitch Highway that will simultaneously decrease permeable surface area to reduce the impacts of urban stormwater on Baker Brook, provide pedestrian refuge islands to facilitate a more pedestrian-friendly environment, and improve the overall attractiveness and appearance of the corridor. We truly appreciate the assistance and support of the mayor and city council in this effort to pursue grant funding for the design and construction of these key infrastructure projects. With that, I have Commissioner Bossonetto and DPW Engineering, Nate Erickson, to here this evening if they'd like to add anything to what I just stated. Gentlemen?
Thank you for having us on tonight. Like we said, this is a very exciting grant program that allows the city to leverage. For $400,000, we get $1.6 million worth of infrastructure improvements. So this is a really good program. Nick Erickson over here has been heading up this MVP program. Now we're almost on the cusp of becoming a certified city to be able to obtain these grants. Would you like to?
Yeah, so I'll just give you a quick background on the MVP grant program itself. So we were awarded an MVP grant in the amount of $102,000 in June of last year. And since then, we've undertaken the MVP grant planning process. And MVP stands for Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness. And what we've done there is we held 2 public listening sessions and 1 community resilience building workshop with key city stakeholders. And all 3 of those were designed to understand exactly what the city's vulnerabilities are when it comes to climate change and develop an action plan to address them. So the MVP grant program, once we become an MVP certified community, which we should be certified at the end of June, once we submit our final report, it unlocks the door to additional action grant funding. And those are the 2 grants that we're going after that that we just described. So the John Fitch Highway grant and the stormwater grant.
So I wanted to ask, so right now in our budget, there's already about $400,000 earmarked, probably a little less than that, but about $400,000 earmarked in the DPW budget for stormwater maintenance. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. It's about, I think, 388,000 or so.
And so this $400,000 free cash appropriation, this is above and beyond what we did last year, is it not? Because I recall the mayor talking about using free cash to do to do something with this unfunded mandate, just to show that we're making some progress. Is this 400,000 on top of what we have in our budget? Well, I know it's on top of it, but what I'm getting at is, I know last year we didn't put anything in the budget, and then we used free cash to get us to the 400,000. This year we've already got the 400,000 in the budget, so this is above what we did last year. Is that correct?
Right. So last year's fiscal 20 budget, like you said, you gave us the 388. Going forward to fiscal 21, we're not going to get that money. So that's why we're trying to use this to leverage the grant money in order to get the 1.6 million. I think in the mayor's budget right now for fiscal 21, we have about 90,000 or so. So
Yeah, about 92.
yeah, so about 92,000 in fiscal 21. So this money is really leveraging it. So in fiscal 21, that will basically be our budget for all the improvements.
So is it fair to say that in fiscal 20, which we're in now, this is kind of getting ahead of 2021 by doing the 400,000 in this fiscal year to leverage the 1.6, which will cover us through 2021?
Yes.
And then in 2022, we'll obviously do a reassessment at that point.
Yeah, so our plan was, what we were saying was we need about $1.6 million every year to deal with MS4 and stormwater. So by you giving us 400,000 now, that sort of takes care of the 1.6 in fiscal 21. You're correct.
And is this a program, the MVP grant program, is this a program that we're going to be eligible for every year, or is it just a one-time thing?
Yes, it's an every year program. Once we become an MVP certified community, we're eligible for that pool of funding that the state allocates every year. So we can submit another grant application next year or multiple grant applications next year.
Okay, so I thank you for that, and thank you for pursuing this certification. We desperately need state and federal assistance wherever we can get it for these unfunded mandates. And I believe it's a great return on our investment to put up 400,000 to get almost 4 times that number in grant-funded project, or 3 times that number for the total of 1.6. So I'm pleased that we're going to be part of this program, and it gives me a lot more confidence in us being able to meet our mandated obligations going forward by utilizing this program where we can. Whereas last year or 2 years ago, I didn't even know of any such program in terms of us being able to take advantage of it. So this is very good news. So I think this is money well spent. Again, us investing in this, we get 3 times the number from this grant. So to me, it's a no-brainer. We don't do the 400,000, we forfeit 1.2 million. So mathematically and strategically, it makes all the sense in the world to me. I have Vice President Walsh. Would you like to speak?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I agree with everything that you've just said. I think it makes perfect sense to invest $400,000 to get back 1.2 million, or a total of $1.6 million worth of work. Having grown up on Boutell Street in Fitchburg and frequenting the John Fitch Highway, I know that's always been an issue. And I think if we can use this money to address that problem, as well as, make additional, headway with the stormwater contracts, I think it just makes perfect sense. So I would be in favor of this.
Councilor Boschman.
Yeah, I got a question. First of all, I want to say thank you very much. And don't forget about Ward 2. That's number 2. Now, but this third question is, you said there's going to be islands on John Fitch Highway. Whereabouts on that? This is just a sample of what they're going to look like. But whereabouts are you talking about the island being on the John Fitch Highway? Is it before the gas station? I mean, the car wash after?
So what we're going to do is first we're going to have engineering design. So we're going to do a traffic design because the median turn lane is not necessary everywhere on John Fitch, but it is necessary in some sections. So we have to do some traffic counts, figure out which driveways need larger left turn lanes because of volumes. Once we figure that out, then we can figure out which areas we can put in an island because going up from Bemis, once you go past the football field, there's a long section there that the median island serves no purpose at all. So we can remove all that pavement, put in green infrastructure that reduces the amount of runoff and also allows infiltration of water. It makes it a lot prettier. Then as you get into the more developed areas, the islands will probably become smaller and also allow for pedestrian crossing. Because if you try to cross John Fitch right now, you get stuck in the middle of that pavement. Here, those green islands would have a nice little cut through so the pedestrian has a refuge island and can, so it'd be pedestrian friendly. It's going to help the flooding. It's going to make it look better and hopefully, regenerate that area for commercial uses.
All right. I'm all in favor of it. I like the Clean Water Act anyway. So, and the Rainwater Act, I think Mr. Erickson knows that, Nick. I think you won't see no hesitation from me on this. I want to say to you guys again, thank you very much for all the work you're doing on this project. And the people of Fitchburg appreciate it too. They may not say it, but they do.
Motion to approve 13120.
Second.
I have a motion and second to approve 131-20. Roll call vote. Counselor Zarella.
Yes.
Counselor Boschman.
Yes.
President Kuchmarek.
Yes.
Vice President Walsh.
Yes.
Myself, Counselor Di Natale, is a yes. It passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilors.
Moving to the next item, 132-20, that there being hereby is appropriated the sum of $25,000 to be charged against available funds and credited to building contracted services for the purpose of digitizing building department paper documents. I have a letter here from Mark Barbadaro, Building Commissioner, to the Mayor on May 27th that states that the majority of scanning has been completed already taken place has been completed, and the scanning company estimates that an additional $25,000 will complete the project. The bulk of the remaining scanning is unindexed building plans. If approved, the digitizing will free up valuable storage space, which will be needed in new City Hall. The process will also index hundreds of plans, which will allow the public access to their formerly lost plans and save time and money on public records requests. I
don't know that anybody's here, Counselor.
Okay, thank you. I have Counselor Zarella up first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to note again, just one more time, how very badly needed operations like this are and how glad I am to see it going forward. The more we can get searchable and digitized, the easier it will be for citizens and for boards like ZBA, planning, and so forth to do the work they need to do.
Thank you. I have President Kuchmarek next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll echo those same sentiments that I think this is a cost savings on two fronts. The first and primarily is that we save time in the short, mid, and long term, precious city time and resources. We often talk about how understaffed some of our inspectional services and departments are. There's few inspectors and there's more work than they have time, where we can cut down on the amount of time that they're going through physical documents, the better. So I think, this makes the ease of operations that much better and more efficient. But then also in terms of record space, retention, and storage, if we can't retain them digitally, then in many cases we're required to maintain them either on site or immediately nearby. The cost of doing that is often incredibly expensive. So I think this is just this is one of those opportunities where $25,000 is an upfront investment and a long-term gain for us in both terms of time, staffing, and storage costs. So this is a no-brainer for me.
Councilor Boschman.
Got a question for the chair. The question to the chair is this: after we pay the $25,000 and Councilor Boschman comes in with a plan, will the city be able to scan it themselves to keep records, or that we're going to still have to send that stuff out?
That's a good question, Counselor. I don't have the answer right off the top of my head. I don't know if Mr. Brooks, do you have any input?
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to. Can we please make a note to ask the building commissioner that question?
Yes, sir.
Anything else, Counselor?
No, that's it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, this has been at least a 2-year process. I was looking at the budget from last year. We spent $50,000 for this effort last year. This fiscal year, we've already earmarked $35,000. This will make it $60,000 for the year. So it's about $110,000 investment to digitize all these records. And that may sound like a lot of money to a lot of people, and it is, but the scope and breadth of zoning board, planning board documents that go into the building department. I mean, the building department has just as many, if not more, records than the city clerk. So I know the city clerk went through this process several years ago. The DPW went through this process with the engineering group just recently, a year or two ago. Now the building department's doing it. So it's about time. It's well past time that we do this digitizing and this organizing of our records. There are laws out there that say we have to retain paper documents, but the digitizing is a backup, and it's also necessary in the 21st century. And quite frankly, it's long overdue. So I believe this will complete the building department's efforts in this regard in this last phase. And I believe it's a good use of dollars that we have. I don't see anybody else wishing to speak. So I
to
want to
approve 13220.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve 13220. Roll call vote. Councilor Boschman.
Yes.
President Kuchmarek.
Yes.
Vice President Walsh.
Yes.
Councilor Zarella.
Yes.
And I am a yes. It's unanimous. Moving to the next item. 133-20, an order that there being hereby is appropriated the sum of $20,000 to be charged against available funds and credited to law, other expenses, labor negotiator. Letter submitted to us from Solicitor Pusateri, who is present this evening, to the mayor on May 28th, states as follows: and appearing to be in the best interest of the city of Fitchburg, kindly instruct the auditor to draft an order for $20,000 from free cash to law department account, labor negotiator, prior to the next city council meeting for the purpose of appropriating funds for the payment to Valerio, Dominello, and Hillman LLC, and as a contingency. Mr. Solicitor, do you have anything you'd like to speak to on this? You're on mute, sir.
Nothing to add, but if I'd be happy to take any questions.
Can you just elaborate briefly what this is for with regards to labor negotiations? What this money is?
So COVID-19
pay for?
So the labor negotiation fund is designed primarily to deal with the unions on various different aspects of the COVID-19 front, changing the working conditions, change of financial conditions, and et cetera. When we handle with the labor negotiations, we typically would hire an outside attorney to do the negotiations with the unions. It's beneficial to the extent that many times I'm representing the members of the unions, whether we go on for code enforcement or whatever the case may be, such as most recently the fire sprinkler board, et cetera. So we've been using Nick Dominello to do that. It's been my goal to keep that cost down this year, but with the COVID-19 and the issues that came up fast and furious over the past 2 months specifically, and now some labor negotiations that are ongoing, these funds are necessary to cover that.
Motion to approve 13320.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve 13320. Roll call vote.
Motion,
I'm sorry, Council Boishman. Yes.
on the motion, just got one quick question on this motion. Do you think we're going to get reimbursed from the federal government on all this money we're spending?
I don't think on this money, Counselor. We are going to track it, but I don't think that these legal expenses are that type of reimbursable fund.
All right. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
I have a motion made and seconded to approve the order. Councilor Boishman,
Yes.
Councilor Zarella,
Yes.
Vice President Walsh,
Yes.
President Kuchmarek,
Yes.
and I am a yes. Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Moving on to 13420, in order that there be and hereby is appropriated the sum of $31,500 to be charged against available funds and credit to the following rubbish removal expense accounts: $10,600 to cleanup funds, $14,400 to airport rent, and $6,500 to contracted services. The letter here from Director of Public Health Steve Curry to the Mayor and Mr. Brooks on May 27th. Please be advised that I am respectfully requesting $31,500 from available funds to be appropriated to the Health Department rubbish removal account. The shortage to the account is due to the Health Department incurring costs in the following areas. 1, procuring a contract with a licensed site professional on a site surrounding a landfill that operated on Blueberry Lane off Airport Road from 1968 to 1971. Number 2, providing a response to cleanup and securing of property as a result of the city tax-taking process. And number 3, honoring the city of Fitchburg's obligations for rent reimbursements to the airport for leased property currently utilized and operated by AKS Recycling Incorporated. Any questions from the committee? I think I see Steve Curry is present. Mr. Curry, can you speak?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Would you like to elaborate on if you wish?
So this account actually involves 3 different buckets, and the cleanup account is the account where we utilize the had to hire the services of an LSP. Basically, that LSP is working on property that has filed suit against the city, as the complainant is alleging that our landfill that operated in 1968 to 1971 is causing issues with his property. That account also supported a lot of tax title properties, boarding, securing, cleaning, trying to get properties up for auction during the year, tax title year. And as well as our new obligation to make sure that we comply with the airport rent obligation. And according to the lease, we do now hand over our lease monies to the airport to comply with their agreement. This account also has the rubbish removal account, which is the curbside collection. It's actually that ran a little bit in the red, as well as usually we average about 80 bulk item collections a month. In the last several months, or this fiscal year, actually, we've averaged 130 bulk items. So bulk items have been a little bit more active, which has forced the account into the red a bit.
I have Councilor Boishman, you first.
Yeah, I'll get one quick question. On the cleanup fund, now I'm hoping that with us signing that contract with AKS, that we're going to start putting some money away for the cleanup on different things, are we?
So, Councilor, in my FY21 budget, I did propose some funding. Obviously, that really is kind of up in the air on when the budget's approved. But I did propose.
Now, that's not going to go into the general fund, is it? Is it going to be separate? So we can't touch it? It'll be just for cleanup?
Well, the idea in the FY21 budget would be a separate account, I'm assuming. And it would not go to the general fund.
Oh, good. That's what the president wanted, Mr. Chris Merrick. All right. I appreciate that. I agree with the council president on that one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to approve 13420.
Second.
I have a motion made and seconded to approve 13420. Roll call vote. Councilor Zarella,
Yes.
Councilor Boishman,
Yes.
President Kushmarek,
Yes.
Vice President Walsh,
Yes.
and I am a yes. It is unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
13520, that the city of Fitchburg, actually, I'll take the next two in order as they pertain to the police department. 135-20, that the city of Fitchburg hereby approves the expenditure of funds from the Mass Executive Office of Public Safety and Security grant in the approximate amount of $5,508.80 for the purpose of said grant, which is to enhance effective pedestrian, bicycle, and mope type enforcement. And 13620, in order that the city of Fitchburg approves the expenditure of funds from the Department of Justice Office of Justice Programs grant in the approximate amount of $86,062 for the purpose of said grant, which is to support a broad range of activities, including preventing, preparing for, and responding to the coronavirus. I have Chief Martineau present this evening. Chief, would you like to speak on both orders?
I'd be happy to take questions specifically on the bicycle grant to start, and then we can get into the JAG grant after that. So if any councilor has any questions, this is a reoccurring grant that we go after each year for pedestrian bike safety. Every year we purchase approximately 100 bicycle helmets that we give out to our city youth at different events. Obviously, that's probably going to be curtailed a little bit this year because of the COVID issue, but we will stockpile those helmets for use from whenever we can get them out. Also, we conduct targeted enforcement with the relaxing of certain standards because of COVID-19. I expect to see more targeted enforcement out there. Councilor Boishman, you'd be happy to know that I did review the grant, and jaywalking is part of that. So there will be some enforcement when it comes to that. I know that's a topic that's near and dear to yourself. And like I said, we apply for this grant each year. It's $5,500 that goes towards targeted enforcement, and it saves the taxpayers a considerable amount of money. So I'd be happy to take any questions on that grant.
President Kushmarek.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Chief Martineau. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for your efforts on both of these items. As it pertains to awarding some of the bicycles, you said it's 100. Is that correct?
It's 100 helmets, Councilor.
100 helmets. Thank you. So where do you typically distribute from, and where would you look to distribute from this year?
On a non-COVID summer, we would be at the parks. We would have been at the bike race, all different events throughout the summer. So we're in a wait and see mood to see what type of events we can be at this summer with our community engagement unit. It's my hope that we can get some helmets out there and kids can get out and enjoy themselves somewhat. But a lot of that is to be seen as we relax the COVID restrictions.
Great. My only question there too is, I'm glad to hear that you're at different parks and different events. I think that ensures that we're not just getting the same people year after year, and that different communities and different people have access to those. I think that's wonderful, and I'm thrilled that you're looking to also use the grant for both bicycle and crosswalk enforcement. If not for the sake of the enforcement itself, so that Councilor Boishman can finally be rewarded for asking for that year after year. I say that in jest, but I know that's an issue throughout the city, is ensuring that we're both being educational and enforcing and crosswalks, and that wouldn't be restricted to just downtown, would it, Chief?
No, it's citywide, Councilor.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Councilor Boishman.
Chief, I know we talked earlier. I'll bring it up again. I drive around the city, and I see young adults, young kids with no helmets. I'm not asking you to stop them. I'm saying if you just happen to be going by and your officers are going by and they see them, if they could just ask them, say, where's your helmet? Numerous kids, and somebody gets hurt, they could be hurt for life. So, I mean, we're giving them out, but we're not, on the other hand, we're giving out helmets, but we're kind of saying, do what you want. If you want to wear it, go ahead. If you don't want to wear it, you don't have to.
Well,
I'm not blaming you. Don't get me wrong.
No. I mean, what you're describing, Counselor, speaks to the heart of community policing, something that my department engages in every day. So I agree, and I hear what you're saying, and we're going to continue to have those conversations with the people that live in our city. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
Okay, thank you. Make a motion, we accept?
Second.
Is this a motion to accept the JAG grant as well, or just 13520, the bicycle?
I would like to speak on behalf of the JAG grant, Counselor, if it's possible.
Yes, absolutely.
So at the very onset of the COVID crisis back in March, the federal government sent out notice to all law enforcement agencies that have applied for JAG grants in the past, administered through the Department of Justice. And this was, like I said, this was at the very onset, like week 1 or 2 of the COVID crisis. And the way the JAG solicitation was written, it was pretty much open-ended. And immediately, the administration of the city, we put together a COVID task force that we still meet daily. And it was evident that we were going to start accruing significant costs citywide, whether it was buying PPE for the city, cleaning of our buildings where there may have been some contamination. And we saw that the costs were going to increase. So I went to Christy and I asked her if she could help me out with an application to the JAG folks in this manner. And, we were very fortunate. She wrote a great grant application. This is almost $90,000 that was specifically citywide efforts to recoup some of the costs that have been coming our way because of COVID-19, buying of PPE, cleaning of our municipal buildings, purchasing face masks, gloves, cleaning supplies, electrostatic sprayers. This was $90,000 that we didn't have to take from the general fund, $90,000 that we didn't have to go to the taxpayers. And, if we're going to get through this COVID crisis, it's efforts like this. And I applaud Christy for what she did. And the police department was very grateful that we could do this for the city.
Thank you. Council President Kuchmarek.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Chief, I'll just, I think these grants fly under the radar sometime and we just take the money for granted, or, I certainly don't, but I could see how easily to the public looking in, it just seems so routine to see grants coming through on city finance and city council agendas. But, it really does speak to the work that your department does and the work that Christy does in particular in compiling these grants and getting them. We're often the most competitive. We're getting these awards that are larger than other cities and towns around us, or even larger cities. And so, I just want to commend your department in a time where the dollar is being stretched, pretty thin on city side. You're bringing in dollars to help mitigate and keep continuity of services going. So, truly, I appreciate everything that you and your department are doing. That's not easy to put together grant applications when you're dealing with everything else, but. Yet again, you and your department rise to the occasion. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I have Vice President Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was going to say pretty much the same thing. I just wanted to commend the chief and his department, especially Christy, for looking that far ahead at that point in time, knowing that coming down the road, we were going to have to make those expenditures, and $86,000 is nothing to sneeze at. And with the other, $5,500, it's an amount that we can certainly use. So I just want to thank you for that.
You're welcome.
May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve 13520 and 13620.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve 13520 and 13620. Councilor Boishman,
Chief, thank you very much. Yes.
Councilor Zarella,
Yes.
President Kuchmarek,
Yes.
Vice President Walsh,
Yes.
and I am a yes. It's unanimous. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, councilors. Good evening to all.
Thank you, Chief.
Be safe.
Thank you.
13720, the City of Fitchburg approves the expenditure of funds from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts earmark grant in the approximate amount of $100,000 for the purpose of said grant, which is to prepare and repaint the exterior windows of the library building. And we have a letter here from Sharon Bernard, Library Director, to the Mayor on May 26th. Please accept the $100,000 from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for the library window preparation, repair, and painting project. The funds are to be deposited in the capital expense account to be spent down in the near future. Councilors, just a reminder that Ms. Bernard spoke on this a couple weeks ago when they were before us for a free cash appropriation to supplement this grant for this capital project at the library. So you should all be well aware of this grant coming before us. I have the library director present. Ms. Bernard, is there anything you'd like to add?
She will need to unmute herself.
Yep, you'll need to unmute. Okay, I don't know if she can hear me, but
Mr. Chair, I'd offer a motion to approve 13720.
Second.
I have a motion made and seconded to
On the motion,
13720. On the motion, Councilor Boishman.
I'm going to support this, but the only thing I'm going to say is this. I said it before and I'll say it again. $150,000 is a lot of money for maybe 5 years, 6 years, and we're looking at for a library, to rehab a library. And then we're just going to get, to me, that's a lot of money. So I don't know. Sometimes I wonder. 150 grand is a lot of money. But I'll support it.
Councilor Zarella.
I'd just like to point out that on the scale of appropriations that we make as a city council, it's not really a lot of money over that time span. It would be a lot of money coming out of my pocket or your pocket or anyone else's, but we're routinely every 2 weeks approving appropriations in the amounts of 20,000, 50,000, 100,000. If this is what it takes to tide over the library until such time as we can complete full renovations, and if these repairs are going to carry us forward on a few years, if you think about that, chunk it up over those years, we're not spending very much. We're spending the same amount that we tend to pass without debate on other issues per year. We're thinking, let's say it does go 5 years. We're talking, what does that come out to? $30,000 a year? That's really peanuts on a city budget level. Again, it's a lot of money if you think about it on a personal level, but on a city budget level, I mean, the library is a great resource. We got to keep it in good working order until we have time to fully address it.
So I look at this like similar sentiments have been shared about like Launch Joe School, where there is or Crocker Elementary, where there are plans in the works to renovate those facilities, particularly Crocker, since we move forward with that. That's 5-7 years out from now. I mean, when we have capital requirements at the current time, we can't avoid doing them, even though we know in 5 to 7 years we're going to completely renovate the place. We still have the need for that building to operate in its current state for at least 5 to 7 years. So we have to meet those obligations. The only time I would have concerns about something like this is if the library director told us that all the funding is in place for the renovation. We're going to apply for the city funding for the loan portion of it in 6 months, but we're going to fix the windows now, even though it's not essentially critical. that's where that would have weight to me, and why bother? But in this case, there is no definitive idea yet when that library renovation is going to take place. It is going to be largely dependent upon the library's efforts in fundraising private donations to come up with the funds necessary to do that full-scale renovation that was presented to us a couple of years ago. So it could be 5 years. I'm wagering it's going to be longer than 5 years, but regardless, there are going to be problems arising in the meantime that deserve and require immediate attention that we can't ignore. And I know you're not suggesting we ignore it, but I mean, there's going to be problems arising that we can't ignore in the meantime, like anything else. And if we don't address it and it gets worse, it's going to get more costly, and it will cause further damage. And then we're going to look like we're going to look foolish that we didn't address it when we were told that we needed to address it. Considering the fact that there are people in this city that hold this sentiment that we're not very good stewards of our municipal buildings, and I share that sentiment. So I think it's premature to say five years from now. We don't really know when. But in the meantime, that library needs renovation work and repair work, and this is one of them. And the fact, too, that the state is kicking in 2/3 of the costs lessens the blow a little bit. So to me, it's beyond necessary, regardless of when the renovation may take place. So, I don't see anybody else wanting to speak. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
The motion we accept.
Motion made and seconded to accept 137-20. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't do a roll call. Councilor Boschman,
Yes.
Councilor Zarella,
Yes.
President Kuchmarek,
Yes.
Vice President Walsh,
Yes.
and I am a yes. It is unanimous. Next on the agenda, 138-20, in order that the City of Fitchburg approves the expenditure of funds from the Secretary of the Commonwealth Cities Complete Count Grant Program in the approximate amount of $20,000 for the purpose of said grant, which is to support outreach efforts in getting a complete and accurate count in the 2020 census. Have a letter in our packets from Joan David, Administrative Assistant to the Mayor on May 26th. Dear Mayor DiNatale, the City of Fitchburg has been awarded a City's Complete Count grant for $20,000 from the Secretary of the Commonwealth. This grant is for the purpose to assist Fitchburg with providing a complete and accurate count in the 2020 census. These awarded funds are to be used to support outreach efforts. Planned work will include mailing to low response wards and promotional advertisement through billboards, radio, and access TV, as well as printing of promotional materials for distribution to key service locations in the city. I am respectfully requesting the city accept this CCCGP grant award and approve to start spending down these funds. This grant expires on June 30th, 2020. And I believe the Ms. David is present here. Ms. David, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
No, I think the letter explains everything. Do you have any questions?
Any questions, councilors, on this?
Are we going to
I
knock
have-
on doors?
Forgive me, I lost my place on the chat line. Councilor Zarella, did you want to speak?
No, all set.
Vice President Walsh?
No.
Okay. All right. I don't have any questions.
I think Paul asked if we were going to be knocking on doors.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Yes. Go.
No, we won't be. The U.S. Census Bureau organizes that. They will be knocking on doors. We are doing exactly what the letter says. I'm in the process of getting the cost for billboards, lawn signs, the advertisement, radio ads, and doing the mailings. So we are working on that now. And the, excuse me, with the COVID, the crisis, the census returns are due back on October 31st, which is great. They have moved that out. So we still have a few more months. The state is responding right now at 62%, and Fitchburg is at 60% as of today.
Motion to approve 138.
Second.
I have a motion and second to approve 138-20 Roll call vote, Counselor Boishman,
Yes.
Counselor Zarella,
Yes.
President Kuchmarek,
Yes.
Vice President Walsh,
Yes.
and I am a yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Last item on the agenda, 13920, in order that the city of Fitchburg hereby approves the expenditure of funds from the Massachusetts Department of Transportation Aeronautics Division grant in the approximate amount of $69,000 for the purpose of said grant, which is to cover airport expenses, including fuel purchases and additional work on the runway project. Sorry, I pulled this up late. Just a letter from Peter Kettle, interim airport manager, to the mayor on May 20th. Dear Mayor DiNatale, Attorney Pusateri and I have now signed the appropriate documents for the FAA to enable them to move forward with the grant. As we have not been ordering fuel during this COVID-19 period, the airport has been shut down for 6 weeks. I would like to use this grant for the purchase of 14,000 gallons of fuel, as we are currently extremely low on fuel. 8,000 gallons for the static fuel tank and 6,000 gallons for the new self-serve fuel farm that is currently being installed, completion by the end of June. The current fuel price is $3.34 per gallon, which equates to $46,726. The CARES grant from the FAA is for $69,000. This leaves a remaining balance of $22,274, which I would like to use on the outstanding 5% payment for the work not included in the runway build, which includes the buildup of the substrate of the underlying runway and also the support mechanism at the end of the runway 32 to the river. Please remember that that we will be turning this $46,726 spend into $67,726 when filling airplanes. Any questions on this? I see Mr. Kettle is present. Mr. Kettle, is there anything you'd like to add?
First of all, Chairman DiNatale, councillors, I'd like to say that I'm very thankful for the CARES Act that it came along, because if it hadn't done, then I would have gone way, way over the budget this year. Basically, what's happened is that it's been a reactive maintenance system instead of a proactive maintenance system. And we've been spending money on getting a new an update to Hangar 10, because we've attracted a major, major company to the airport that's starting on the 1st of July, which is Naval Air. And they are specialists in beach and beach-bound aircraft, and it's going to bring a massive amount of business, not on fuel, but other resources to the city. So basically, yes, it's nice to be able to take something that costs $46,000 and turn it into something that costs $69,000. So for me, it was a no-brainer to put it into the fuel. We're now fully topped up. We have the first jet coming into the airport today, and they are going to be coming regularly. So it was a good investment, and I ask for your support. Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion made and seconded to approve. Speaking on the motion is President Kuchmarek.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and Airport Manager Kettle. Thank you for joining us this evening, and I appreciate, you came in as an acting manager, had to assume control of staff and of an airport and a massive facility, and one of the largest projects in Fitchburg's history, and you've taken it across the finish line. Congratulations on opening the new runway just recently, and congratulations on securing a new contract. And this is really what this project was all about. It was ultimately about driving long-term business and returning the business to operational self-sufficiency. I truly believe that in your essentially 6 months, not even on the job, you've made some major inroads to doing that. Thank you for what you're doing, I'm happy and pleased to support this.
Thank you.
Motion to approve 13920.
I have a motion made already and seconded.
Oh, sorry about that.
Councilor Boishman.
I just want to say to Commissioner Pete, thank you very much. I'll vote for this because it's a grant. I'll let you know on that. I want to wish you guys good luck. And I do want to come down and see that runway.
Anytime, Paul. Anytime.
Great. Thank you.
Roll call vote. Councilor Boishman.
Yes.
Councilor Zarella.
Yes.
President Kushmer,
Yes.
Vice President Walsh,
Yes.
and I am a yes. It is unanimous.
Thank you.
That concludes our agenda.
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion and second to adjourn, and we are adjourned. Thank you.